Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi guys, meet with me, Hasanah. I am a student of English Literature at Pamulang University. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Miss Ruisah as a drama lecturer and to my all drama friends and to all of you who watching this video. In this meeting, I will explain about issues reflected in the zoo story, and we will find out how many issues in the zoo story. Let's begin. The writer Albay tell about his story of American society through the zoo story play. In his interview at 1974 said that he got this inspiration from when he worked as a telegram man, and while he delivering telegram to many people, he finds so many character, so many kind of people. From that time, Albay got this inspiration and begin to write a story. And this story only take 3 weeks until a finish. The story play with only 2 characters. Jerry, a silhouetted man who looking for a way to communicate with others, then meet a Peter who's sitting on a public bench in the Central Park at the Monday afternoon. Jerry is someone in late 30 with shabbily clothes and have a slender body, and meet a Peter who's sitting in the park bench. Peter is 40 years old, and he suggests that Peter is from upper class because he wearing an expensive clothes and reading a book, smoking a pipe, wearing glasses. Then Jerry seated beside Peter and start conversation. Jerry tell Peter the reason why he visited the zoo, but Peter did not like to talking about. Peter just was forced to listening and drag him into a conversation by Jerry. Now, especially in Jerry's character, we will find 4 issues reflected on the zoo story. So, what are they? What issues that happen in Jerry's character? First, human isolation. Second is loneliness. 3 is social difference or social class, and 4 is feel anxiety. So let's begin. Number 1 is human isolation. Why Jerry feel that he is got a human isolation over himself. Jerry, who represent to the opposite and underprivileged class, he is suffering from isolation and is yearning for a society that accept and understand him. Jerry only needs someone who willing to listening his story and can talk with about his worries and problems. Jerry feel that he got isolation from other humans. Like he got isolation from his aunt, he got isolation for her landlady, her neighborhood, her someone will live in his next door, and he can accept his self problem, and he feel that the world is not fair, that all this happen on him. He just can accept the condition on his life. His isolation, the problem isolation is the biggest problem. Isolation is over herself, is on himself. The second issues reflected in Jerry's character is loneliness. Jerry feels lonely because he lives in a small and cheap rooms, alone without anyone. He is not good. He is not have a good relationship with his landlady and someone who live next door. Then Jerry start talking about properties that he have in his small room, like he have two empty frames hang on the wall. Then when Peter asks why the frame empty, Jerry said that he have no picture to put on. His parents died when he was young, and he forced live with his aunts who have a bad temper, bad personality toward him and toward her neighborhood. Jerry also tells Peter about his romantic relationship that he ever had when he was teen with another boy. Jerry say that he is a homosexual. Then that romantic relationship is the romantic relationship that didn't take long and did not mean anything to him. We can see loneliness in Jerry's life when he talk about his private life, his properties in his small room, like he only have 2 cups of glass, he only have 2 plates, 1 spoon, 1 chair, and 1 table. It's like that he live in her own. And the third issues on Jerry's character is social classes, or different social classes. As we see that Jerry is a poor man because he's wearing a shabby clothes and have a slender body with a long hair. He live in a small room, only eat fast food. And meanwhile, Peter live in a normal life with a wife, with a job. Even he has 2 daughters, have a pet cat and 2 parrots. The writer Albe described Peter as wearing an expensive clothes, reading a book, wearing a glasses, smoking a pipe. He's just like a upper class, thereby leaving an impression that Peter is an philosopher or scientific, or a person with with high society, and in fact that Peter is a businessman. Jerry's poverty, depression, and a small room in a rooftop at a New York, him feel classy when he is seated beside Peter. He feel like he is small. He just feel like it's not right to sit next upperclassman. He feel that he in a very low class. Here are some different social classes that we can find in Jerry's and Peter's characters. First, Peter lives in expensive neighborhood. Meanwhile, Jerry lives in a small room at a rooftop in New York City. Second is Peter also have psychological stability. His life is stable. He get everything he want at last. Meanwhile, Jerry was indicate psychological stress that he have from his experience life, like his experience toward his parents died when he was still young, and experience toward his aunts who have bad temper. And third is Peter have cat and two parrots. Meanwhile, Jerry even didn't have a good relationship with his landlady's dog. Now the fourth issue is feel anxiety. Jerry's feel anxiety. Both Peter and Jerry feel anxiety. Have their anxiety for Peter anxiety is that he hiding a deep sadness inside him, even though he has everything that meets the standard of the society in which he lives. Peter is a social acceptable person who is afraid of entering new and changing his style, changing his lifestyle, hiding of feeling anxiety and sense of meaningless. Peter ran away from his reality by reading a book. Jerry lived a miserable and pathetic life and had no remaining sense of humility or existence. Even his attempts to build a relationship with animals are failed. And Jerry's anxiety is that he can't forgive himself and life as he wants, life a miserable and meaningless life. And for the conclusion is, finally in the end, Jerry tells Peter the reason why he visited the zoo. Jerry visited the zoo because he thought the zoo will cure him of his isolation and loneliness. And also, Jerry once attempted identity in a place outside the human world. But sadly, Jerry realized that his relationship with human or animal all failed. Jerry, unstable psychological state, reached the point where he is no longer saw the point of living and began thinking of killing himself. After Jerry decides to fight the bench with Peter, but Peter realized, and then Jerry took the knife from his bucket and give to Peter. But Peter confused and don't want to fight over the bench. Then Jerry stabbed himself with the knife he gave to Peter, and stabbed himself with the knife that Peter held. In the end of Jerry's life, Jerry's thanks to Peter and asked Peter to go before the police come. Jerry's even erased the fingerprints, Peter's fingerprints for the knife. I think this story end in here. Thank you, Miss Ruiz. Thank you, everyone. Already watched my video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.